Hey everybody, we are live. I figured today, just haven't done a couple live streams. It's been a little been very busy. Um, Felt like jumping on, working on a page for uh, Mojo Rising Origins for Outlaw Studios and Third Empire Publishing. And I figured I would show kind of my thought process behind working on a comic page, what I think about. Sometimes it's just by the fly. I'm using a software program called Clip Studio Paint version. It's an EX version. I've been using Clip Studio Paint for a good number of years now. I work primarily digitally, but sometimes it's a blend of traditional art and digital art mixed together, where I may start a page or a panel or an image on paper and then throw it in digitally because it's easier to manipulate and I don't have to deal with pencil eraser shavings on my desk, unless I feel like messing around with that stuff. But for right now, I figured I'd show this page here is a fight scene. Our character Mojo is going to be getting his butt whipped a little bit in this page. And I start with a rough layout of what I'm looking at. And, okay, change that back for you. You see these blue lines are scrolling. So basically, Mojo on the ground here. I want to create a layer. I've got Mojo's head here. He's on the ground. There's a arm here. I've got this big burly guy here, kind of standing over top of him. Just drawing some basic shapes in. He's standing over top of him, kind of yelling at him, saying, "Get up, let's fight." And then we've got this guy over here. This is Mojo's friend, Raj, but that's not his name. And he's over here yelling at Mojo to kind of like, "Hey, what? Take this guy out. Shut this this guy who's standing behind him, who's the, for lack of a better word, coach of who's a religious freak, magical religious freak. Who's kind of the coach of the guy who's beating up Mojo. So Raj is over here yelling at Mojo, "Hey, come on, get this guy up." Doing this real quick here. And then I went and I did another close-up shot here of Mojo's face, kind of like he's getting up. His fist is kind of large here to show that he's kind of angry, blah, blah, blah. And then I wanted to do kind of a shot from knee level, where it was kind of like, just kind of like a camera view from behind people, but at their knee level. If that makes sense. So I'll do some quick legs here. And this was going to be a motorcycle because there's a cop gang in this world, and this is like one of them motorcycle. And then, of course, the big guy here. Kind of like that leg better. Mojo here is kind of like his fist somewhat up. Some people in the background, standing in the background. I was thinking, I was working on this page earlier, and I was thinking that I may just do this whole panel as a silhouette. If I can pull that off, just to kind of add some dramatic effect. And then this panel was going to be Mojo getting his face cracked here. Oops. Oops. Saving. Some fine art right here. This guy is like smashing Mojo. And we got some blood that's going to kind of go outside the panel. This is going to be a sound effect there. By the way, that SFX is a shorthand for sound effects, or letterer, which might be me. And I got some people on the back. Kind of like it, cheering it on. Raj over here, kind of like, oh, come on. Get your butt whipped. And then the 12 guys standing behind him, kind of thing. Okay. So that was like basically my initial quick idea for the storyline. But I didn't really like the flow of the page because I felt it was kind of jamming the eye flow. So what I mean by that is I have a character going this way, character going this way. This character was kind of jamming with this character. He's kind of going off out to nowhere. So it's really not taking, this panel and this panel go together nice. I like those two panels. But these upper panels were really torturing me. So, oh, thanks, Brian. So I didn't really like that flow. So I changed things around a bit, overdrew on top of like I just did, except a little more detail. I redrew the page here. And, I flipped this panel. Just move this up here. Create another master layer. Which we're going to get rid of these layers in a minute. So I changed the direction of this dude and just basically switched the panel around, which is really simple to do. But still, now the flow is going to here and to here. But this really isn't helping out. So what I'm going to end up having to do is change Mojo's kind of eye direction so he's looking more up, so that the flow kind of goes here to here. And then this panel kind of still bothered me. So I have to go back and fix this panel. And I may reverse this because when I drew it again, I had the guy's hand coming down. It's kind of that. His hand coming down. I didn't like this because it was just kind of a mirror image of, and I reversed it so that he's more looking down, sending you down this way. But it was another close-up shot. And I like to vary camera angles. I don't like to keep that camera angles the same. So, you know, this is sort of flat on. This is sort of flat on. This is kind of coming down, which I like. This is kind of flat on. This is a little flat on. So I like to try to at least vary the panel, so, or the angle of the camera. I think that's important. So I redrew it again. And what I did was I changed it, but I don't have this angle the way I like it on his head. So what I'm going to do is just go in here with the lasso tool. Oops. No. I'm just going to just change the angle of his eye. So now he's directing and looking more up at Raj. Okay, that. So here, erase this. Okay, so that was a little bit better. And I totally got rid of that that downward shot of him again in this panel. So let me add that. I got rid of this panel here and changed it up to a more of a distant shot, but from the ground. So, and I had it so where Mojo's getting up, because that was the other thing, the timing of the page didn't seem right. Like he's on the ground, and all of a sudden he's standing. So I wanted an intermediate kind of shot of him getting up. So I changed it to this downward shot. And see, I did a little bit of grid in the background. So I'm going to turn this on here, show me what the blue line is. Blue line that for a second. Turn this on. Edit. I'm going to delete those. So I did a kind of a perspective grid going, you know, just real quickly. Okay. Just going in this type of direction. So everything's just coming down. So I wanted edit, delete. I felt like this is a better transition. Going from like large, medium, smaller, and now I'm kind of getting smaller. And then smaller, even though it's a fight scene. Because it's gonna escalate. Fight scene's gonna escalate. So I'm trying to build that momentum and what people are saying, so if that makes sense. So I changed that, but this panel up here still, this panel here is still bugging me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to flip it. Edit, transform, which isn't bad. I have to do a little bit more with it. There's going to be background. No, see that doesn't work for me either. You can see the left side of it. So I may have to do something to change that panel or change what's happening. And I don't know what that's going to be yet. So I'm going to just undo that. Maybe. There we go. That might be it. Just, of course, I'll have to redraw. Yeah, this is all rough layout stuff. So the final panels don't ever look. Our final pages never look like this. At least I hope not. But yeah, at least now I have a little bit sense of it. Maybe what I can do too is change the direction of this one just slightly. So that has more of a downward feeling. I can't always get that. I can't always do that. Try something totally radical. Just that's not bad. That. They're fighting in like an old. I don't know. They're fighting in not in a field, but in like an old broken down manufacturing kind of thing. So, hey, Damien. So I'm thinking that might be the solution because this hand. So if I go back to this, I have this kind of here. This hand is pointing to this. Now I've got Mojo who's looking kind of down at this direction. And then these are okay. This will be the original panel because he's going off. The hit's coming this way, but it's sending him off page. So I am okay with that. So that's kind of, I think, where I'm gonna take the page. And of course, there'll be some stuff in the background, especially I'm thinking in this panel. We'll have a little bit more of the establishing, let the reader kind of know where we're at, sort of. So anyway, if anybody's here, if you have questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'll check back. But that's sort of the idea for now. The other thing I do, so when I start the page, I think about the general idea of the page, and then I kind of break it down into basic shapes and where I want people to be, and then I look at camera angles. And then after camera angles, I go into shading, which I did a little bit here on this panel here, or on this page here, or later. I started looking at, okay, where's my light source coming from? So, on this page, it's going to just delete these. On this panel, it's going to be coming from here. So I need to realize that shadowing is going to be taking place where I have these shadowed areas. And you can do this relatively quickly. You don't have to spend a lot of time focused on this at this stage. Just generally, where are the shadows going to be? Or where's the light source coming from? Where do you want the most dramatic effect from the light? So in this panel, I have it coming from actually this direction. So, where you see the shadows, where I'll have most of my dark areas. And then in this one, it's kind of coming in this direction. So even though this is shadowed, there'll be light in this area of his leg here. This is kind of a close-up of a leg, and I can see that. But Mojo's face will pretty much be shadowed. He'll be shadowed here in this panel with the light on the that crowd in the back, hitting them. So the shadow will be reversed of what maybe this panel might be. Where in this panel, the shadowing is mostly on the people and less on the guys. Both guys who are fighting. So other little trick things that I think about when I'm laying out the page and when I'm doing this lighting thing is if I'm going to be shading here, like on this panel here, I want all the shading lines to kind of pull to the focus of what the panel is about. So you notice all my lines are going kind of towards, as much as possible, these two figures, because I want that clash to be what the eye is focused on. So, in the shadow staging, I'm thinking not just where the light source is coming from, but I'm also thinking about how can I use the light source to try to help bring the eye and focus on the panel. So now I start to think not just page. Now I'm kind of moving away from page and focusing more inward into specific panels. So all the lines when I shade will go towards, or at least as much as I can, I'll remember to go towards these two characters to give it a more dramatic effect. And then, of course, on the last panel, which I haven't drawn out yet, I threw in a crack here. Back. I'm looking at the light source coming from this direction, so that the light source is helping push the flow of the page and of the panel to the next page. So we've got this flow of him getting smacked and pushed off the panel, and now I want the light source to help me kind of do that. So again, you notice all my lines are going to kind of go off the page, off the page, off the page. So I'm shading. So that way, if someone ever does my stuff, they'll be able to go, okay, this is the action. This is the direction he wants the action to go, if that makes sense. So that's how I kind of approach a page a little bit. It takes me a little bit to do that, but I think it's worth it. I think it helps my art a little bit. The next stage is to actually do the pencils, and that's where I'm gonna really get into each panel and make it look nice and pretty and decide what little muscles are gonna get shadow. So if I'm drawing this. I'm going to do this very loosely here. If I'm drawing this arm here, I'm going, I know my light source is coming from up top, and I know that this muscle is going to be shadow. And if I put any little thing in here, like let's say like a vein or something, I know that this part of the vein, these under parts of the vein, are going to be the parts that have more shadow than the upper part, because I got to keep with the whole theme of the lighting. So I know I can shade down here, maybe do some rim lighting. Man, I'm really roughing this out. This is not how I would draw a panel itself. But again, the light source coming down, so these muscles there. If I'm going to have any little added muscles or veins, then I got to remember that that's where my light source is coming from. So I'm not going to shade up here on a muscle, because that would make sense. So when I start getting into the panels more specifically, or into the drawing more specifically, that's when I look at the lighting source onto the muscles, and I say, okay, what do I want to make? And then I start going, obviously, into the details, of, all right, his knuckles here, knuckles are rounded on the top, and you know, this, the lighting again is coming from the top, so this knuckle is going to probably have more shading than the other one, blah, blah, blah. And then I think this is where the stylistic choices come in. You know, do I want his knuckles to be boxy or, you know, squarish, or do I want them more rounded? You know, am I going to add wrap? If I add wrap to his hand, you know, which I think I drew lines in there for that, is that, you know, I got to shadow that the same, you know, I got to keep consistent all the way around. And of course, I might give him 3 knuckles because why not? So, you know, and again, this is, I'm going quick and roughing. This is, I would go much, much slower. Same with the face. And maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll start like penciling so you guys can watch my thought process there. I wanted this guy to have like almost like a bird beakish kind of nose. I call him Weaver. Again, even though I'm just doing these lines in here, and bearing in mind that when I go to actually, when I go to actually draw him, I look back at that, that shadow. I go, okay, well, his face is going to be shadowed in here. So here's some gnarly now. This is the fun part. You know, well, actually, it's not the fun part. This is actually the boring part, is the detail stuff. It's boring because, like, by the time you get there, at least for me, by the time I get there, I'm like, okay, I've drawn this enough. Please make it stop. I want to move on. But, and I hopefully have gotten the action or what I've wanted to convey. Again, this is really, really rough. I apologize. Take that off. So. And then the next stage, I would blue line, you know, the pencils, and then I would go into doing inks over top of that. And, you know, this obviously this guy is shadowed that direction, I think. So I want to make sure I'm shading. Yeah, I think I have the light coming that direction as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this because, and again, this, you know, I'm looking at where's the light coming from. So over here would be shadow. Yeah. There we go. Now you guys can see what I'm talking about better. So this ear, I wouldn't really have to draw too much of this ear because a lot of it's going to be shadow, right? This one would be more detailed because it's in the light, so I've got to, you know, detail that one more. And again, if light is hitting here on this vein here, then this would be light, and the shadow would obviously be behind the vein. So, you know, those are things that you just kind of get used to. And I'm not perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination. But I like to think there are really dark areas, and then there are shaded dark areas. Right? So I might say this is really, really dark in here. This under here is really, really dark in there. This would be really, really dark. And then this is shadow, right? This the light's coming this direction. If that makes sense. So yeah, that's kind of basically how I approach it. You know, if I have a specific script that says, panel 1, this is what you want. And I try to get as creative as I can with that panel. Say, panel 2 is this. I don't like very specific scripting. I prefer, the kind of like loose, like, hey, here's what I want in the page. Here's the focus that I want in the page. Go for it. And then let me create the panels and things that I want. That works best for me. That not everybody likes that. Some people want, hey, I want this specific thing. I kind of like that. It's a practice thing, and I kind of like it. But yeah, so that's the direction I'm moving in with this thing. I just want to get rid of some layers, so I'm not confused when I come back. Layer, delete this layer. So even though, like, I hear a lot, well, what do you prefer, digital or do you prefer traditional art? Yes, that's my answer. I prefer both. I love traditional pencils. I love working with traditional pencils. Not so much traditional inks because I think I stink at it, but pencils, I love it, love it, love it. However, for time, digital works better. Not because it only allows me to cheat in terms of, well, I can manipulate a panel and swap it. I don't have to erase it, which saves time. I don't knock anybody who wants to do that traditionally. That's fantastic. Keep doing it. But I still have to know how to draw. So I hear, people, oh, well, digital, does all the work for you. No, it really doesn't. I still have to think about my page layouts. It helps me manipulate my page easier, but it doesn't help my art. I still have to know, somewhat know anatomy. However, I have to fake it. So, it's not like, that is not my final page, is it? Where is it? That's not that. Figure out what I do. Final page here, sorry. Oh, so that's what I was going for. Yeah. So digital art, yes, it makes things easier, but it doesn't make you a better artist. It's a tool like any other tool. And you pick your poison with your tool. Whatever you like to use, that's what you use. But that's not what this live stream is about. It's more like how do I think about pages and how do I come up with pages? Because people tend to they tell me, oh, I like the way you design your pages and stuff. So if this helps somebody, great. Yeah. So this is going to be the next page here on the right. So there's the page I was working on there. So now we're going from him being hit off page in that bottom panel to we'll be going to this panel up here, which I have as an upper shot, right? Or a bird's eye view. So looking down at the fight scene, and then I did a close-up of group. And I have an idea about that second panel. Actually, let me open this up and I'll just play around in here. Look how tiny it is. Just scroll. Scroll. Right, so here's that page. Again, this is the thumbnail layouts. Here's what I'm thinking. This layer up here is just kind of a border layer. I usually keep that separate. I usually lock it out. Sometimes I forget because I do stupid stuff like here. I draw in there when I don't lock it out. All right, so, and by locking it out, it just means you lock the layer so that you can't edit it accidentally. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer. I'm going to combine the two by merging them together. Now they're all one single layer. All right. So let me just quickly, I'm going to layer, put another layer on top. I'm going to draw out my panels. Now I have an idea breaking this down into 3. Oops. Into 3 panels here, even though the art was still. And I may redraw these panel pages over and over because I tend to like change them up as I'm adding the art. So this was another panel here. There we go. Okay. So to kind of walk you through what I'm thinking about. So I'm put another layer. First, I'm going to lock out this panel layer. So now, sorry, let's see. Now you can see when I turn this on and off. I can turn it on and off, but I can't draw on it, right? Just with that little box. So if you're working digitally, most programs have a little lockout to it. Okay, so there. All right, so my thought process is this is a down shot of kind of establishing that we're back in the fight scene. Then I'm gonna like kind of draw some attention to the crowd shouting, making certain comments like, "Hey, you suck," blah blah blah, all that jazz. And then this small panel, and there's a reason why I wanted this small. I don't know if I'll make it one whole panel or not. I might go back to doing that. I don't know. We'll see. See how it turns out. But I wanted this small because that's how I wanted that character to feel. I wanted him to feel small, like, oh crap, we're losing. We're losing this fight. We're going to lose money. And then, but it's really a ruse. He's actually suckering in this guy to bet him, and then he's going to give like Mojo a signal to say, "Hey, go ahead, take this guy out. Do what you got to do." So my initial, I like the flows of this page because it's going down. Yeah, sorry. It's going down, like the eye angle's going down, and to these panels. I might reverse it though. So, and here's why. You see the energy's kind of going. Oops. Okay. The energy's kind of going this direction, but which takes the eye off the page. So I may just take this here, and here, edit, transform, and I'm going to flip. Okay, so now we still have a down shot, but now the energy is kind of going this way. So now I have, this is looking from inside of a booth, basically. So there's a thing here. There's going to be a guy's hand here. You're going to see the top of his head here. You're going to see another guy sort of here. There's another pole here. There's crowd here. The crowd is shouting out. And again, these are going to be all downward shots, so they're going to be going down. This is Mojo getting smacked. He's kind of one hand out. This is our big guy coming at him again. Again, this hand is forward, so this leg is forward, right? You always want to do opposite. I don't want to put the same hand and arm forward because you won't get the same type of energy. Right? And then crowd, people, crowd. Now the energy is flowing down, and these poles will go, I'll have them go in this angle going down. So that'll help, again, bring the eye, leave the eye down. Now we're going to have this guy up here who's going to kind of jet out of our panels. He's going to be shouting some kind of obscenity. Not safe for work stuff. Maybe we'll give him a mustache. Put a mustache on him. Another guy over here. His hand is up. This guy is holding a beer. Maybe just some splash of the beer coming out. This guy's an Arkansas, Texas guy. He's got himself a cowboy hat on. He's also got a mustache. Got a mustache in their pocket. Mouth open. And it's all going down towards these guys, right? Problem is, it's taking the eye off the page. Again, off this direction. And I don't want that. So it's okay to do that to this point. And then I would probably have to reverse this panel here because I have the religious guy kind of leaning over top of Raj here. Poor Raj. He's kind of slumped over like, oh, I'll just get his butt kicked. This guy's like, looks like your fighter's losing. The problem with that is it kind of stops. Right? It doesn't help us flow to the next panel. He sort of does, but Raj doesn't. So we could just turn Raj's head. Oops. Just turn Raj's head in this direction, kind of like, oh, leave me alone. Maybe have him give him the middle finger or something. Then I'm going to do a close-up of, it's going to be Raj here. Raj has one of those little tiny goatee things. This is gotta be like a kind of a smirkish smirk. So I gotta I'll reference I'll reference facial expressions to try to get the look I'm looking for. And of course this guy is gonna be evil. He's got these really weird glasses, kind of like a friar tuck. Part of a religious cult in the book that believe that all the magic came from God, and where it actually came from. So here we go. And again, these are rough, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to convey square. These are going to be dollar bills. It's like, looks like your fighter's losing. Because Raj here is going to say something to the effect of, "Oh, Mojo will come back and take him." And then this guy's going to be like, "Oh, really? Well, how about double or nothing?" And that's when, of course, Raj is going to signal Mojo to kind of turn on the heat. I shouldn't have done that. Let me take that back. Okay, and there's a reason why. I don't want to put lighting in this stage. If you notice, I'm trying to keep everything pretty basic at this point. Again, I'm just doing this for this video. Do you think it matters if the left-hand page or a right-hand page in terms of if you want to flip it or not? You mean in terms of whether it's yes, but we read from left to right. So possibly, yeah, it does matter. What really matters is how I'm building up the energy of the page and the flow of the page and leading the eye. But yeah, it can matter if it's on the left side or the right side, whether or not you want it, especially if it's a double page spread, if that's what you're referring to. If it's a double page spread, then yeah, it definitely matters. You're going to be zigzagging across 2 pages, basically. But yeah, that's a good question. And then this, I forget who the heck. I think this is Reaver. I think this was going to, yeah, this was going to be Reaver. Kind of a close up of him about to like, hey, I'm going to finish you off kind of thing. So, you know, Reaver's guys back here saying, "Hallelujah." Let the just put it across the indicator. That's who he is. And Ron's kind of here next to him. Also, keeping in mind where you place people is also very important. Like, you don't want to dramatically, you never want to do, or you never want to break the 180 rule. You never want to totally flip directions of characters. You want to kind of keep them pretty much in the same. You can change the angles, but you want, if they're on the right side, the character's on the right side of the character, you want to kind of maintain that throughout, unless you do something deliberately to change that. So there is a rule there. You just kind of got to do a little studying there. So here we go. This is Raj. And this is a close-up no, this is not an art lesson. Close-up of the religious dude's hand. And what I wanted was cross here with some beads. This is one of it. I'm going to redo that. So saving real quick so you can see it. I can fix the actual. Whew, it is hot here. It is like, I don't even know what it is right now. I think it's like in the 100. Got to be 90, 100. I know it's hot everywhere, but So this is like religious speed. Again, the reason for that is to move the eye. This is going to be here, here, perspective going in this direction. And Rod is kind of saying, all right, Mo, right turn, Clyde. And then Weaver here is going to be, this is going to be close up to Weaver saying, oh, you may not want to use your magic, but to finish you, I'm basically going to use mine. Teeth. Comes. Mouth open. More teeth. And this is going to be Weaver's hand and these claws. So I'm going to need a sound effect in here. Maybe like across his knuckles, like stretch. X. Okay. So let's see what this looks like. Oh, wait, one more panel. Now, should I reverse this panel to make because these are kind of growing this way, so it's kind of looping back, maybe, but his eye focus is off in this direction. We could try that. Well, let's see. We'll go here and edit, transform, flip horizontal. Kind of like that. That's kind of cool. Let me just take that. We'll say yes for now. Yeah, kind of like that. It's not bad, right? Might have to reverse the letter in SFX. Not bad, not bad. I'm going to leave that for now. Now this is a close-up, so he says, oh, you don't want to use your magic. And then Mojo's going to be saying like, oh, you want to use magic? Oh, in that case. And then I'm not going to share with you the next page. This is going to be Mojo here, kind of a close-up. His eyes shooting out energy, going off the page, reading the page. Of course, Mojo, we all know he's got that skill. He paints his, in the beginning, he paints his face for these fights with the skull. Then something there. And the scare. So, all right, let's look at this. So we've got fight scene, here, legs, this guy, more people. All right, cool. I'm just going to turn this head that way. Hey, Jim, just turning in, but I'm going to have to go back and watch this from the beginning to see your method of creating a page. Thanks. Lee, please share it out too when you do. Appreciate you. Lee says, I'm glad I'm not the only one who makes sound effects while laying out a page. Oh, no, you've got to do the sound effects. Come on. Crackoon. Yeah, you got to definitely do the sound effects. All right, so what I would decide now is lighting, right? Obviously, for this top panel, I may do lighting from this direction to help push to the next panel. So things underneath and behind are going to be lit, right? So back of this guy's head, it's where this guy would be lit. And then my heavier lines are going to be obviously in the front. Sorry. Silly me. Let's just undo all that. This is why digital goes a little quicker. See that undo? Doesn't make you a better artist. This helps you with speed. Okay, so. Right, so my lighting's coming. So maybe even darken these guys here. So now I'm using the lighting to push. So I want it to go this way. So I'm going to make the lighting coming from this direction. So I'm going to probably shadow here. Shadow here. Here. Under here. Underwear. Oh, wait. Is that? And hitting here. But now in this panel, lighting coming from this direction again. So under his nose. Under here. These will be dark. However, this cannot be an open hand. Because there's money in it. So lighting is coming from that direction there. Underneath. Lighting down. Go this direction with the lighting. So under here. Under his nose. Chin area. This direction. Whatever. Actually, I don't want to change that. That was wrong, completely wrong. Because I want to keep the lighting the same because it's really just a close-up of, somewhat a close-up of the previous panel. So the lighting should stay the same. And it'll add a creepy effect. So I'll shadow here, 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 here. Shadow, shadow, shadow. His mouth will be, or his smile will be. So I need to change this. Lighting's coming down. So shadow. Yeah. 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 And I'll leave it here. Of course, I'm going to do it this way, this direction. So, shadow. Nose. His knuckle underneath. fix all that. So now kind of lighting is now driving us that direction. And I kind of want it to come this direction. Yeah, it's better. Here. I'm going to drop that cross down. I'm going to do some special effects stuff too in the back here. Maybe coming this direction, the light. This guy. And this panel kind of coming down and to the left. Well, he's going to have stuff coming out of his eyeball. Alright. Maybe it works. Maybe. So that's basically how I get my page layouts set up with lighting and flow and all that jazz. Do you use pre-made comic template or Clip Studio, or do you make your own page template? I always draw my own panels. Aaron Bass says, "Yerp." I don't know what that means, Aaron, but herp, back at you, buddy. So I am going to save this. So when I posted this originally, these two pages originally, this one, this one here, some of those. It's the last panel down there. I'll just quickly draw that in. We've got a bit of a crack. Turn it around. Ugh. It is brutally hot today. Hope everybody's indoors in an AC. As much as possible. I know some people have jobs that they have to be outside or in a hot kitchen or whatever. Just stay hydrated. Make sure you're drinking, not the alcohol. Sorry, I meant for the page parameters, not the actual page layout. 11 by 17, and I have comic book settings. I can quickly show those if you want. Lee, just let me know. I think I originally had this eye was going to be swollen shut. So I'll have to make that consistent throughout as well. Again, this is all in the rough stages. This is nowhere in the final stage, but there are some lines that I'll want to keep, like even this line of this kid here who's going to be raising his hands in the air. I like that line. So when this guy's playing, look what's happening, dude. Mojo's getting his ass whooped. Hey, come on, Mojo. Look at this guy. Hallelujah. Come to Jesus, man. I did have him holding the Bible, so I'm going to have to go back to that. Make sure I keep that consistent. Raj over here, like, what are you doing, Mo? Use your magic. Mojo, I'm not using magic. I'm just kind of like, oh. Maybe our cowboy hat guy or something. Crack. All right. Crack. Coolness. Definitely have to fix this. So much of it. Oh, long balloon. Wow, it is brutally hot. I'm going to be ending this soon so I can go get some air. There's no object to transform, of course. In 1 second, I might go back to the original panel for that. I might. I don't know. I'm debating. Smack. And then the next page. All right. Yeah, so file. All right, I'm going to create a new one. I don't know if I can zoom in on this at all. I don't think I can. I think you're just kind of stuck with whatever size this is for you. The width is 11 by 17. Resolution is 300 dpi. I generally work in 300 dpi. This is Clip Studio settings. So they have, what I do is I do a 10 by 15 border width. So these are comic settings. And then there's another inner of 9 by 13 and a half. So any of the script needs to be within this 9 by 13.5 blue line. Otherwise, it'll get cut. Art can go out to the edge of the page, but don't put anything major that you want the eye to see past that 10 by 15. You want to try to stay within that, unless you're okay with things being cut off, which, you know, if it's like a background or whatever. But you can go out to the full edge of the paper, which I like to do, especially on double page spreads. But again, no art outside of that you don't want cut off outside that 10 and 15. No letters that you don't want cut off or balloons. And you want to stay within that 9 by 13. And then the other settings for this are, it's a multiple page setting. It's not for Mojo Comic. This is just general. I have it page for 12 as the base layout. And then you can add certain things like story information and all that jazz, which none of this stuff prints out the blue lines. None of that prints if you were to actually print a page. So you don't have to worry about any of that jazz. If that's hopefully what you were looking for. Well, the whole template is 11 by 17. The inner border is 10 by 15 to keep the art in. Yeah, Clip Studio is fantastic. You know, it takes a little bit like anything. Takes a little bit to get used to and figure out all the bells and whistles, but there are so many bells and whistles. There's so many ways that you can make a good comic. So I recommend anybody who's thinking about doing comics to definitely do the trial version first if you're not sure, and then kick it up to the EX version, because there are so many tools, 3D models, you name it. It's just so versatile. You know, there's just so much. There's really so much. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on some of the other tricks and tips I can share with people. Especially for a guy like me who hates drawing like mechanical stuff. Having a 3D model of a car and then just being able to like manipulate it and then redraw it, and, you know, it just helps so much. On backgrounds, I hate backgrounds. Not that I don't think they're important, they're very important. And you need to know how to draw them, and I have to know how to draw them. But, you know, looking up an airplane, let's say, and seeing it from the bottom and stuff, if there's a 3D model, that'll help me envision that better than so good. And using 14 by 17 with the border and draw, yeah, that's fine. You know, you can, as long as everything, when you go to print, you know, your printer is going to have specifications that they're going to want your files in, and you're going to have to be able to manipulate that. And as long as, you know, they give you a proof copy to look at first, you know, you can see where the flaws are. Another great thing with Clip Studio, although I wish they would modernize this to Western comics a little bit, is that you can take your story and export it as a 3D book. So you can see what the thing will look like generally as a 3D book, and you can flip through the pages. I think that's a great function that helps you kind of see where things are. This guy looks like, I must be drawing this from memory, looks like, oh God, who's the character from the 90s? Image Comics. Had blades coming out of his fingers. Jim Lee book. Yeah, I remember. Influences coming through. And the page prior. Viva. Okay, folks, I'm going to end this here. I'm going to take a break so that I can go get some air. It is stuffy in this room, and it must be like, yep, it's afternoon time. Let's make sure I'm putting a bleed in your artwork. Just want to make sure that the main focus of the text bubble don't get cropped off when printing. Stay within that 9, whatever it was, 9 by 13. As long as you keep them in this inner blue circle here, you keep your text in there, you're pretty safe that it won't get cut off. Keep your bubbles in there, you're pretty safe. I mean, you can extend out a little bit, but it all depends on your printer. Oh, thanks, man. This is all chicken scratch to me. So, like, you know, I hate showing this stage because I don't want people to get the impression that this is the way I draw. Kind of thing. It's like, oh God, please no. Show someone like this. This is a final page here, final double page spread, which I may end up having to chop in half. Oh, guys. Yeah, these are more pencil pages. Ta-da. Cover the book. Yeah, artists can usually see, you know, where you're headed with pages, but not other people. All right, man, I'm going to end this here. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Please like, if you're watching me on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I've got like 78 followers. That's like pathetic. Is that a word? Pathetic. I'd like to get some more followers. Hopefully this video will help somebody who might be interested in making comics. And if you have questions, please leave them on the YouTube comment section. I'll try to get back to everybody, try to answer things. All right, folks, everybody have a good one. I will talk to anyone